Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down the greatest story ever told, one chapter at a time. Today, it's chapter 22, You're a Rare Animal.
And this chapter gives us the first real concrete map of the world. The board is finally set. We learn about the red line, the four blues, and the single, terrifying strip of ocean that holds every pirate's dream and their tomb.
The Grand Line. But before we get to the geography lesson, we meet a man who has been stuck in a treasure chest for 20 years, guarding a dream that was already dead. It's one of the most bittersweet stories in all of East Blue.
It's a perfect little fable, and it raises the question that will hang over the whole series. What is treasure, really?
Exactly. If you feel like our breakdowns are a treasure worth protecting, maybe you could guard that subscribe button for us. Don't get stuck in a chest for 20 years, just click it now. We'd love to have you on the crew.
Let's start at the beginning, though, on the boat, before any strange islands.
Right. So we open on something I've been waiting for. Nami is fixing Luffy's straw hat. Buggy sliced it up, and Luffy was just carrying it, broken. But here's Nami meticulously stitching it back together.
It's a huge moment for their dynamic. We've seen her be pragmatic, we've seen her be greedy, we've seen her be a brilliant navigator. But this is an act of pure care. She's not just a navigator for hire anymore. She's taking care of the single most important object in Luffy's life. She understands its value to him.
And that's what gets me. She gets it. This isn't just a hat. It's a promise to Shanks. It's the symbol of his entire dream. It's his crown. For her to treat it with that reverence this early on, that's crew. That's family. You know, as a shipwright, I know a thing or two about repairs. Fixing something isn't just about making it whole again. It's about respecting the history of the object. The cuts Buggy made are part of the hat's story now, and Nami's stitches are part of it too. She's literally weaving herself into the fabric of Luffy's dream.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's an act of preservation. She's preserving the symbol. Think back to when they first met. She was trying to trick him, to use him. Now she's sitting here, quietly, carefully, mending the very soul of his ambition. It shows a massive shift in how she views him. She may not believe in his goal yet, but she believes in him. She believes that this hat is important to him, and therefore it's important to her.
It shows she's been watching him. She saw how devastated he was when Buggy stabbed it. She saw him just carrying it around, not even wearing it. He couldn't wear his crown while it was broken, and she took it upon herself to fix it. Didn't ask, just did it. That's super leadership in its own quiet way.
And then the instant she gives it back, he pokes his finger right through the patch to see if it's fixed, and she just stabs him in the head with her sewing needle.
And he totally deserved it. It's perfect. It shows the two sides of their relationship already. She'll protect what's important to him with her life, but she will not hesitate to inflict physical violence if he acts like an idiot. There's this deep, reverent respect, and then there's the immediate brutal punishment for being a bonehead.
It establishes the dynamic of the whole crew, really. There's this profound loyalty and love, but it's not expressed through gentle words and coddling. It's expressed through action, and sometimes through a sharp needle to the skull. It keeps them grounded. It prevents Luffy's monumental dream from being self-important. Nami will always be there to remind him he's still a moron.
The best kind of first mate, if you ask me. Or navigator, I guess. The noise wakes up Zoro, who, of course, is only concerned about one thing.
Food. He was just sleeping through this beautiful moment of crew bonding.
Food. The man's priorities are perfectly in order. Sleep, fight, eat. I respect it. A simple life. But Nami points out they have no food, no water, nothing. She's the only one thinking about basic survival. She just performed this incredibly thoughtful act, and 2 seconds later, she's back to being the exasperated mother of two idiots.
She's the adult on the ship. We've said it before, but this chapter really cements it. Luffy is the engine, the driving will. Zoro is the sword, the unwavering strength. But Nami is the brain. She's the one who keeps the whole operation from sinking or starving. Without her, they'd be a powerful, ambitious, very dead crew floating in the middle of nowhere. which is why she's the one to spot an island in the distance, the first sign of hope.
And Luffy, of course, just yells food and steers them straight for it. No questions, no caution, just pure, unfiltered impulse. He has this incredible ability to focus on one thing at a time, and right now, that thing is meat. And they land on this bizarre island.
It's our first real taste of how strange the ecosystems in the One Piece world can be. It's a dense forest, seems deserted, and then they start seeing the animals.
A dog with a rooster's comb and feathers, a snake with rabbit ears, a pig with a lion's mane. Oda is just having an absolute blast, and you can feel it. The world feels so much bigger and weirder in an instant. As an inventor, I love it. It's like nature just threw a bunch of spare parts together to see what would happen. It's super creative.
It's a great way to establish that the normal rules don't apply here. This is a world of fantasy, and anything is possible. It primes the audience. If you can accept a lion pig, you'll be ready for what's to come on the Grand Line. This isn't just a world with magic fruit. The very biology of the planet is fundamentally different and more whimsical than our own. It's a very important piece of stage setting. But then a voice booms out from the forest.
A voice claiming to be the guardian of the island, warning them to leave or they'll be cursed and die. It's classic ghost story stuff. You land on a spooky island and the disembodied voice tells you to get out.
Nami is immediately terrified, which is a perfectly rational response. She's thinking about survival. A potential curse or a hidden guardian is a threat to be avoided. But Luffy's reaction is to just yell back, basically calling the guardian's bluff.
Because that's Luffy. He doesn't believe in curses. He believes in what's right in front of him. And what's right in front of him is a voice, not a monster. So he challenges it. He's not afraid of the unknown. He's excited by it. He hears guardian, and he doesn't think danger. He thinks cool, a strong guy.
It's a fundamental difference in worldview. Nami sees the world as a series of risks to be managed. Luffy sees it as a series of adventures to be had. And as he's yelling, a bullet flies out of the woods and hits him square in the chest.
Which he just bounces right back. Boing! That's the kind of thing that makes Luffy so terrifying. A normal person would die. A tough person might survive. Luffy just turns your own attack into an inconvenience and sends it right back at you. The world is just going to run out of ways to stop him. Can you imagine being the guy who fired that shot? You take your one shot, you see it land dead center, and the guy just jiggles and spits it out. You'd probably just pack it in for the day. Game over.
It's the ultimate subversion of expectations. Violence is met not with greater violence, but with absurdity. It disarms his opponents psychologically long before the fight is even over. They don't know what to do with him because he doesn't operate by the same rules as everyone else. So they follow the shot and find this very strange box. A treasure chest, but it has a bush of green hair growing from the top.
It's such a weird image. They poke it, they circle it, and then the thing gets up and runs away on these little legs. It's so absurd. It trips, falls over, and a hand's head pops out. I love how Oda builds the mystery. Is it a monster, a plant, a new kind of devil fruit? And the answer is somehow simpler and 1,000 times more bizarre. It's just a dude in a box.
Gaimon. And the truth is somehow even stranger than a curse. He's a man who has been stuck inside that treasure chest for 20 years.
20 years. Say that out loud. 20 years. He hasn't spoken to another person in 2 decades. He's just been here, on this island, in a box. The sheer mental fortitude to survive that is unbelievable. Or maybe it's not fortitude at all.
Or the sheer madness. He says he used to be a pirate, and Luffy trying to pull him out is a great moment. Gaimon is convinced his body has literally molded to the shape of the chest, and he'll fall apart if he leaves. He's like a hermit crab who has completely fused with his shell.
I don't even know if that's physically possible, but after 20 years, I believe that he believes it. The body adapts, sure, but the mind adapts even more. The chest is his shell now. It's his prison, but it's also his home. It's his identity. He's not Gaimon anymore. He's the man in the box. To leave it would be to lose himself. It's a fascinating and deeply sad psychological state.
And this leads to the most important part of the chapter. They mention they're pirates heading for the Grand Line, and Gaimon has no idea how to get there. He's been completely cut off from the world for 2 decades, so Nami has to explain it.
This is the moment. This is the first time Oda lays the whole map out for us and for the crew. It's not just a vague goal anymore. It's a destination, a real place with real geography. It's like the moment in an RPG where you finally get the world map.
Okay, but think about what this means for the world. One massive continent, the Red Line, that circles the globe like the seam on a baseball. It's described as a giant red wall of rock that is essentially impassable, and then one perpendicular strip of sea, the Grand Line, cutting it the other way, also circling the globe.
Creating the 4 blues, east, west, north, and south. It's such a simple, elegant piece of world building, but it makes the world feel immense and organized. It gives their journey a structure. You can't just sail anywhere you want. There are rules. There are gateways. To get to the Grand Line from any of the 4 blues, you have to go to a very specific entry point.
It gives the quest a tangible shape. Their goal is no longer find the One Piece. It's enter the Grand Line, traverse its entire length, reach the final island. The steps are laid out, even if the path itself is unknown. And Nami explains that the only person to ever conquer the entire Grand Line was the King of Pirates, Gold Roger.
See, that puts it all in perspective. Not just a bunch of pirates have tried. No, one man in the entire history of the world. That's the mountain Luffy's planning to climb. And we're talking about a world that is crawling with pirates. We've already seen guys like Buggy who have huge crews and reputations, and they're just East Blue fodder. Imagine the monsters on the Grand Line itself. And out of all of them, for centuries, only one crew ever made it to the end.
Gaimon's reaction is telling, though. He calls it the pirates' graveyard. He says he's seen pirates who came back from it, and they weren't just defeated. They were broken. Their wills were shattered. This is a crucial distinction. The Grand Line isn't just physically dangerous, it's spiritually dangerous.
That's so much scarier than just dying. The Grand Line doesn't just sink your ship, it can sink your soul. It can take your dream and grind it into dust until there's nothing left. We've already seen how it can break people. It can take a proud pirate captain and send them fleeing back to the weakest sea, completely shattered. That's what the Grand Line does. It shows you the sheer gap between your ambition and the reality of the world's strongest.
It presents a challenge that isn't just about punching harder. It tests your resolve, your spirit, your very reason for being there. If your dream isn't strong enough, if your will isn't absolute, the Grand Line will find the cracks and break you apart from the inside. And this is where Nami's pragmatism kicks in again. She hears that no one has found the One Piece in over 20 years, and she openly questions if it even exists.
Which is a totally fair question. From a logical standpoint, she's right. It's a legend, a myth to inspire a generation of fools to go die at sea. It could easily be a lie the world government perpetuates to thin the pirate herd. From her perspective, built on logic and mistrust, it's the most likely scenario.
It's the first time we see real doubt from a Straw Hat. It's not villainous or cynical, it's just practical. She's looking at the odds. Countless pirates, 20 years, 0 success. The logical conclusion is that the premise is flawed, and it's a necessary counterweight to Luffy's blind faith. The crew needs that voice of reason, that anchor to reality, or they would have sailed off a waterfall a long time ago.
But Luffy's faith isn't blind, and that's the key. People call it blind, but it's not. It's a choice. He heard the Pirate King's story, and he believed it. That's it. For him, the existence of the treasure is a foundational truth of the universe, like gravity. He's not seeking it to see if it's real. He's going to get it because he knows it's there. His response to Nami isn't an argument. It's a statement of fact. It exists. And he says he's not interested in a boring adventure where he knows the answer already. The not knowing is part of the fun.
It's such a pure, adventurous spirit. He's not motivated by the gold, but by the journey itself, and the title that comes with completing it. After this, Gaimon decides to tell them his story, why he's really here. He was part of a pirate crew that came to this island for treasure.
His crew searched everywhere, found a few empty chests, and were ready to give up. But Gaimon, he just had a feeling. He saw a high cliff they hadn't checked the very top of. He was the only one who still had that spark of belief.
So he climbs alone, looks down, and sees them. A whole cluster of treasure chests just sitting there. The jackpot. It's the validation of his faith. The one man who refused to give up was the one who found the prize.
He found it. The one guy who kept believing, who went the extra mile, he was rewarded for it. But in his shock and excitement, he slips.
And falls all the way down the cliff, landing perfectly in one of the empty chests his crew had found earlier. He gets knocked out cold. The universe has a truly twisted sense of humor. One moment of triumph immediately followed by a slapstick, life-altering disaster.
When he wakes up, he's stuck, wedged into this chest, and his crew, they're gone. They just left him.
That's the part that's truly unforgivable. They didn't even look for him. They just cut their losses and sailed away without a second thought. It's a stark contrast to the crew we're currently following. Can you imagine Luffy or Nami leaving one of the others behind? It's unthinkable.
Unforgivable is right. That's not a crew. That's just a bunch of people on a boat. A real crew never leaves a man behind. Ever. It's the absolute lowest thing you can do. My blood is boiling just thinking about it. They didn't just abandon him. They abandoned the very idea of being a crew. They were just co-workers in the business of theft, and he was an acceptable loss. Pathetic.
And here's the tragic irony. Because he fell, he never got to tell them about the treasure. So he thinks, well, now it's all mine. But he can't climb the cliffs to get it. He's trapped. So his greed, which was once a part of a group, becomes this solitary, all-consuming obsession.
So for 20 years, he's been guarding it, scaring off anyone who comes to the island with his curse, protecting a treasure he can't reach, all alone. He built a new life, a new identity around a goal he could never achieve. He became the guardian of his own frustration.
It's an incredible story of greed, misfortune, and unbelievable endurance. Luffy and Nami, of course, immediately agree to help him. Luffy because he wants to help a fellow dreamer, and Nami, well, because there's treasure involved.
Hey, her motives are getting purer. But yeah, of course they help, because it's the right thing to do. This man has earned that treasure. He's paid for it with 2 decades of his life. He deserves to at least have his mind put at ease.
So Luffy, with his rubber abilities, just zips right up the cliff. It's a perfect demonstration of how his unique powers can solve problems no normal person could. Nami and Luffy wait at the bottom. You can feel Gaimon's excitement. 20 years of waiting, of hope and despair is about to pay off. This is the moment that will justify his entire life.
Luffy finds them. 5 chests, all lined up. Nami is yelling for him to throw them down. Gaimon is practically vibrating with anticipation. But Luffy, he just stands there. He doesn't move.
He's silent. And in that silence, you know something is wrong. For a character as loud and expressive as Luffy, silence is the most potent tool in his emotional arsenal. It's a silence we've seen before when he gets truly serious. A silence of understanding, of bearing witness to something heavy.
Nami gets furious, thinking Luffy is trying to steal them, which is a fair assumption for her character at this point. She still projects her own treasure obsession onto others. But Gaimon knows. He says he can guess what's happened just from Luffy's face. In that one look, 20 years of hope just evaporates. He sees the truth in Luffy's posture.
They were empty. All of them. They had been looted long before Gaimon and his crew even arrived on the island. The dream was dead before he even found it.
20 years. He spent 20 years of his life stuck in a box, alone, guarding nothing. Just 5 empty wooden chests. That's devastating, absolutely heartbreaking. That is a level of cruel irony that feels almost biblical. His entire life's purpose for the last 2 decades was a phantom, a ghost he was protecting.
He completely breaks down, and you can't blame him. His entire life for the past 2 decades has been a lie he told himself. The treasure was the anchor that kept him sane, the hope that got him through every lonely day. And in an instant, That anchor is gone, and he is adrift in the reality of his wasted time.
But this is where you see why Luffy is going to be the king of the pirates. He doesn't say, I'm sorry. He doesn't pity him. He doesn't say, that's too bad. He looks at this broken man, this man whose entire reality has just crumbled, and he finds the one positive angle.
He says, good thing we found out. If we hadn't, you might have spent another 20 years here and died without ever knowing the truth.
That is such a profound, powerful way to look at the world. The truth, even if it's painful, is better than a comfortable lie. Knowing, even if it hurts, is better than dying in ignorance. He frees Gaimon, not from the chest, but from the burden of false hope. He's not saying get over it. He's saying now you are free. The past is over. You can actually start living now. It's an incredible act of leadership.
It's an act of incredible emotional intelligence, even if it's delivered in the simplest possible terms. He understands that what Gaimon needs isn't sympathy. He needs liberation. He needs a new perspective. And then he does something even more incredible.
He offers him a spot on the crew.
He asks Gaimon to come with them, to sail with the Straw Hat Pirates and find the One Piece together.
Because he sees him. He doesn't see a weird old man stuck in a box. He sees a fellow dreamer, a guy who bet his life on a treasure. That's the only qualification Luffy needs. He recognizes that spirit, that willingness to stake everything on a dream, and he wants it on his ship. It gives me chills every time. This is what the Straw Hats are all about. It's not about being the strongest or the smartest or the most useful. It's about sharing the same indomitable spirit.
And for a man who was just abandoned by his crew, to be immediately invited to join a new one, it's the ultimate act of validation. Luffy is essentially saying, they were wrong. You are worthy of being a Nakama. You belong with us.
But Gaimon refuses, and his reason is beautiful. He says he already found another treasure he needs to protect.
The animals. Those weird, rare animals that live on the island. Poachers sometimes come to hunt them, and over the last 20 years, Gaimon has become their protector. They are his treasure.
He found his purpose. It wasn't the gold he was chasing, it was the role of a guardian. He was guarding empty chests, but in doing so, he learned how to protect something that was actually alive, something that needed him. The act of guarding became more important than the object being guarded.
He found his One Piece. It's not gold or jewels, it's a purpose. It's a family of bizarre, wonderful creatures that depend on him. He stumbled into his life's meaning while chasing a decoy.
And that, right there, is the central theme of this entire series distilled into one man's story. He found his One Piece. It's not gold or jewels. It's a purpose. It's protecting those goofy-looking creatures. And you know what? That's a treasure worthy of a king. It's not about the monetary value. It's about the value you place on it yourself.
He chooses to stay. He found his place in the world, even if it's inside a treasure chest on a deserted island. He's happy. He's no longer a prisoner of the island. He is its king. He has his kingdom and his subjects. He is fulfilled.
And Luffy understands completely. He doesn't push, he doesn't argue, he respects Gaimon's treasure as much as he respects his own. He promises he'll come back one day, after he's become the Pirate King. It's not a goodbye, it's a see you later. What an amazing self-contained story. It's perfect, super perfect.
It's a thematic statement for the entire series, tucked away in this quiet little chapter. What you're looking for might not be what you actually find, but what you find might be what you needed all along.
Absolutely. A perfect end to a perfect little adventure. It sets the stage for the grand line, it deepens the bonds of the crew, and it teaches us a profound lesson about what it means to be rich.
If you have your own thoughts on Gaimon's choice or what treasure means in One Piece, leave us a comment below. We love digging into the themes with you all.
All right, let's get to it. Predictions for Chapter 23. What's next on the open sea? Robin, you first.
Okay, first, now that the Grand Line has been established as the goal, I think we're going to get our first log post. For a sea that defies normal geography, I have to imagine a regular compass is useless. It seems like the next logical step is for them to acquire the tool they need to actually navigate it. They can't just float aimlessly into the most dangerous sea in the world.
Oh, that's a good one. A real piece of Grand Line tech. I like it. It makes the world feel more tangible, like there are specific rules and tools you need to play the game.
Okay, second, I think the next person they meet will be connected to the world government or the Marines. We've dealt with pirates and bandits, but the pirates graveyard comment makes me think we need to see the official opposing force to piracy make a proper appearance soon. Not a Morgan, who was just a corrupt local tyrant, but someone with real authority who represents the larger system they're rebelling against.
Okay, bringing in the law. I can see that. The world needs to feel bigger than just a collection of pirate crews. My turn. First prediction, the next island they find will be a proper town, and we're going to meet a liar, a pathological liar, someone who tells unbelievable stories. Oda just gave us Gaimon, a man trapped by a sad truth. I think he'll contrast that with a character who lives entirely on glorious-sounding lies.
A storyteller. That would be an interesting foil for Luffy, who is so brutally honest. It would also be a great source of exposition, true or not.
Exactly. And my second prediction, Zoro is going to get a named sword. He's still using those basic katanas he's been using. They're just tools. To challenge Mihawk and become the world's greatest, he's going to need a blade with a history, a name, a soul of its own. I think he's about to find his first legendary sword. It's time for his first real power-up.
That would be a major step up for him. It feels like the right time for the crew to start gathering the tools of their respective trades. Nami needs a log post, Zoro needs a worthy blade. They're gearing up for the big leagues.
We'll see who's right next time.
Until then, keep sailing.